Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Sorry, I'm getting started so late. I was trying to figure out and get things lined up for a backup live on a different situation. I'm waiting for my 30 seconds to be up so I can talk a little bit normal. But anyway, there we go. 30 seconds ago, a backup platform. You all know what it is. It's Bumble, and it's not an easy thing to do. So I'll get there, and I'll do it. I'll get something figured out. Hi, Finding Dory. How are you doing? Um. Anyway, I was on Nikki B last night, and we discussed this Durham report, which was dropped. So in my thumbnail, I've got, is it just a dust up or it's a sandstorm? What do you think is going to come of this? Is it going to be swept under the rug? Is it going to be soft pedaled? Or are they going to throw a big distraction out there? That makes me think of a lot of things. Like my plan told me that Did Giuliani has been accused of something of an S3 actual nature. So, and then you say, well, gee, whatever happened to Jimmy Carter? He was put in hospital, and you know that's a card they're going to play. So they're going to save that one for when they need to shut down the news cycle for the better part of a week. So that's just my thoughts on the matter. Hi, Marla. How you doing? Ingrid, Diane, blah, Quilt. Hi, Mike. How you doing? Idaho. Okay. We had some nice folks from Canada in. How you doing, Rick? A Google account. Things are panicking. Those things. So, we don't know if there's going to be any more revelations coming out, or if this thing's just going to percolate through the week. And I like those early in the week drops. You know, when it's early in the week and they just can't put it to bed on a weekend. But sometimes they do let something out on Friday that doesn't take a lot to think about. They'll drop a fact that will be easily repeated. And I'm talking both sides do this. So we could get some kind of, I'll call it a stink bomb on Friday from one side or the other. But even CBS did a story on the Durham report. And it's going to get into the fabric of people's thinking. This business of Russia, they shot themselves in the foot by doing it night after night after night after night. And everybody was riding that horse. And now they've got to say that it was all false. Now, in my thumbnail, I was going to put, but I'll do it when I go on Bumble because I won't get in trouble then. But I think it's you get in trouble if you call people liars. But I think it's safe to say, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it'll either say MSM, okay, or just the media, or I'll say specific ones, They repeat lies, have that on the thumbnail real big. I think it's safe to say that they repeat lies or tell lies. I'm not saying they're a liar, but they repeat the lies. Now, is it because of their ignorance? Is it because they're stupid? or they were misled, or are they knowingly repeating lies? And I think on this thumbnail, once I put it up, it's going to say high crimes, because what we're looking at and what the Congress is looking at are multiple agencies and individuals who are subject to real impeachment. Now, the president, the language is more specific as to high crimes. But the House can impeach federal officers. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is she's going to be throwing out impeachment papers on a lot of people. So a lot of people have come in. If I missed anybody, hi, Melinda. Hi, Debbie. I said hi, Bubba, did I? I believe I did. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Georgia. Caroline. How you doing, Roy? America is in distress, Roy says. Well, I tell you, I was feeling pretty good when that came out. And when I started seeing that the usual suspects, like CBS, for example, are reporting on the story and the truth is coming out. We'd have never got this. We'd have never got this far if there had been, if Mike Pence would have sent back to the States and things would have gotten an uproar and there would have been more civil unrest, this thing would have dragged out. Who knows what kind of horrible things could have happened. But I can tell you, we'd never have seen what the real goals of the administration, which represents the DS, we would have never seen this semi-controlled implosion. It would have been, especially if she'd have won in 2016. Let me tell you, there would have been, I would say, the biggest chance for the loss of the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. We've lost it on First Amendment on private, so-called private platforms, but I think it would have encroached into the government doing it out of safety over the claims of safety for the CVID, and they definitely would have really put the screws to the Second Amendment had she won. But if Trump hadn't handled it the way he's handled it, by letting them, the only way to have stopped it would have been to resort to a police action or military action that would have resulted in a lot of chaos. But here, the story's being told to the regular folks, to the American people and around the world. They can see. They're trying to get these open borders done. They're trying to destroy families. They're trying to push transgenderism. And I guess I said it, if I get in trouble, you know where I'll be. Mountain Man Speaks, all one word. On the other place, Bumble. But I'll take another chance and say we're going to have to criminalize. We're going to have to criminalize that movement. Specifically, I'm referring to the underage part. Okay. That's my specific reference. I'm not, the rest of it can be talked about, but it's got to be put in the category of existing law, which you don't bring up things of a S3 actual nature with people of a certain age, and it's got to be enforced. Hi, Nikki. How are you doing? Hi, Pappy Two Bears. Thank you, Nikki. Hit the thumbs up. I got started late. I have to apologize. I was trying to organize the other channel, and it's a little more tricky. And you got a lot of information that ends up on two different screens for two different broadcasts. And I just say, gee, it's getting too late. I just got to go. I got to go on or not go on, one or the other. So these things are all in the spotlight, and we got to think of how much of it is purposefully being done. Like I feel that, as I discussed with Nick on Nikki's program, and if anybody wants to see it, Nikki could put a link to her channel if they want to see the past broadcasts or any time that I've gone on there, or see what Nikki and her past guests have had to say. But anyway, I did discuss that this young lady that interviewed Trump for the town hall, in the past, she had shown more of a concern for Georgie Porgy Sorio, the non-government organizations, and was questioning his impact on our society. And that was not that long ago. She's only 30 some years old, or early 30s. So keep in mind that this may very well have been maneuvered into a situation where, hey, say she did all of a sudden turn into a Trump hater and really believes the things she was trying to correct Trump on and all this. She still got put in a position that was against somebody like Donald Trump, a no-win situation. So we got to remember that there are plants on both sides, infiltration on both sides, like the one that Elon Musk put in charge of Twitter, or is going to put in charge of Twitter. I've got some things in my studio I can refer to on that. But he did an interesting interview. He's been doing interviews where he admitted that he voted for Biden. And he claims that he just wants a normal president, a normal person as president. I guess hinting that he doesn't think Trump is normal. And now he doesn't think Biden's normal. And he also said that he didn't feel there was any funny business to the extent that it would change the outcome. And you know what I'm talking about. Well, you just have to wonder how much of that kind of talk is to keep things moving and keep the left wing of the party taking Musk seriously and staying on the platform. And this person, I saw somebody typed in, I don't trust anybody who was with the World Economic Forum, evil bunch. I would never trust Adam Peet because she was, involved with some of these groups people are concerned about. But you have to remember that too, that as I said in the past, you want to trip up the devil, sometimes you got to dance with him. And infiltration works both ways. How are you going to find out what these people are doing? How are you going to get the inside view of what their meetings are, what their plans are, what the organizational structure is, if you don't have somebody they trust in there that you trust? I'm not saying she is. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me. You've not had power for hours, Nikki? My gosh, I hope me sending you that link to that generator didn't have anything to do with it. That's right, Nikki. They don't arrest themselves. Just looking through the chats, folks. Rick said nobody in government's normal. I think Senator Kennedy's pretty normal. He's funny. We got a lot of normal people. Jim Jordan's normal. You mean no lefties are normal? Abbott in Texas, Movita said WEF member. Well, he's putting the wood to him now. He's putting the wood to him. Oh, Mike Martin says Penguin 6 said U.S. flag upside down at Capitol. What time of day was this? Is it still that way? Presidential pardons. Yeah, a lot of pieces on the chessboard for people to think about. Oh, Reba said that a clip broke off and they fixed it, all flying properly now. Funny how those clips work. Byron Donalds is normal. Yeah, Georgia, that's true. Diane said, what's going to happen with the Durham report? Call McCarthy's office. We deserve justice. And they said they would tell Kevin McCarthy. Hi, camperman. How you doing? I know that there's something going on with the notifications. Well, anyway, this timing of these things happening, and if you listen to a lot of folks that go down the road of saying that there's already tribunals going on at Gitmo and all these big names are already down there, already been tried, and some of them already paid the price. Well, then you would say, if you believe those reports, that a lot of stuff is being laid out as a true show. And with that in mind, you think about the situation with the young lady working at CNN that Trump went and slapped around, I might as well say, and you look at this one that's stepping up to Twitter, then, well, you'd have no doubt that this is all part of a show. But I don't think it's that cut and dry. I think there are people who are working for the white hats that the others don't. The Adam Schiff is definitely he definitely thinks he's got a shot at wiggling out of this. Signal, SM says signal. I hope I have a good signal. Oh, about the flag. Okay, Rick said I've been flying upside down Canada flag since 2015. Yeah, things are getting difficult over there. SM, yes, it could signal. Just it could be just a message, or it could be just a broken clip. But we know the Patriot Front group's been out there with all their flags flying upside down. The glowies. So, how I don't know how long it will take to digest for people to digest this stuff. I think the rally being canceled, we all know that was a big disappointment. And who knows what icing on the cake Trump would have put on during that rally. But he did say there was a lot of, when he was in the town hall, he said the Biden documents, they were going to find a lot of nuggets in there. Real gems is a quote. So I think that was a hint that we're going to find some real gems in Biden's paperwork. So I think with the cancellation of the rally, they're going to have to get a little footing, message footing back to stay in the rhythm there. And Dan Scavino posted on Truth more than I've seen him post in a long time. And I've always said to keep an eye on, whoa, I went to the wrong screen. I hope I didn't get kicked out. Let me see. Bear with me. If I get kicked out, I'll come right back up. I want to see if I can pull up some of these posts from Dan Scavino. Let's see. Okay, I'm reading what Diane wrote. More on leaving for the summit in 4 to 5 days. Speaking of somebody leaving, I don't think Zelensky's made it back to Ukrainian yet. He's been away from there for I think pretty much since the Russians put out a contract on him. You might as well say after the drone flying over the Kremlin, he'd been visiting here and visiting there. I had this article. I've had it in my studio for a number of broadcasts, but I always run out of time. I might as well mention it with all the stuff that's going on. So many different stories and articles. Used to be back in the day, you'd have one story they'd talk about for 2 or 3 days, one story. But now it's half a dozen every half a day. But Mike Cernovich put out a comment. The ordinary voter will never learn that the subway psycho hit a 7-year-old and tried unaliving a grandma. They think all he was doing was Michael Jackson moonwalks for tips. That's why the left censors. We would win landslides every time if the truth wasn't silenced. And that's the way they had portrayed him, the one who died from the Marine putting the restraint hold on him. And they introduced the story as a subway Michael Jackson impersonator was, that's what they'd say. They don't say that on top of what Mike Cernovich just said, that he struck a woman and put her in a coma. So anyway, I hate that I hadn't gotten that story out, but that's what they do. They paint him out to be a Michael Jackson impersonator, and they don't know anything about his violent past. But we're getting it out there, and the billions of dollars released by Kash Patel to Elon Musk is going to be paying off as far as getting out the truth. And that's just a fact. Kash Patel, that's what he said. Elon Musk is the largest defense contractor, received more money than anybody else. Oh, holy cow. He bought Twitter. And we all know that Mike Lindell pretty much had an exclusive for all the pillows and blankets going overseas to our soldiers and to foreign aid. a contract that the Democrat Congress couldn't break. So, Mike Lindell was rightfully being taken care of as he opened up his Frank Social and continues with his investigations and reports. Oh, isn't it funny how that all comes together? So anyway, even here's an article, even CBS News covers the Durham report. I'll have to play that one time. I spelled out on Nikki's program a word many of you are familiar with, DAR, and the rest is PA. Okay. That is what's responsible for platforms like AntiSemitism, Google, LinkedIn, Meta, formerly known as Facebook. Okay. All paid for by the taxpayers. We're going to be learning how these programs were all started using taxpayer money through Department of Defense and DARPA money, and then given out to these private characters. And it just so happens that the so-called founder of LinkedIn is the one who financially supported the E.G. Carroll lawsuit. And many of you know, she admitted to the Trump lawsuit scheme after the verdict that this person who so-called founded LinkedIn and is a billionaire, how do you pay to have a law changed or finance having a law changed? That's close to the language that we were hearing, was that he helped fund a change in the law that would allow her to sue specifically. How do you do that? Is that a BRIBE? Oh, wait a minute. That's a high crime, isn't it? I think that's specifically mentioned in the Constitution. I think it is a BRIBE as a high crime. I don't know. I have to check that out. But anyway, so we know that this LinkedIn person, the other thing I discussed, get in trouble, but maybe I'll kind of ease my way into it, that UTISL, oh gosh, what can I say? How can I put this? The former CEO, and by former I mean, but what, 2 months ago, maybe a month ago, resigned, and her first name is Susan. That's all you need to know. Not the CEO anymore. They resigned, but she was married to one of the founders of GOOGLE, right? Russian born. How does that guy get a hold of technology that was paid for by us? But anyway, I don't know what his story is right now. I know his wife's out of a job with UTISL, but his partner, the article here says Google co-founder Larry Page vanishes as authorities try to subpoena him in the Jeffrey E. investigation. Wow. Did he vanish because he wanted to? Or, I mean, who knows? Cement shoes? Who knows? But anyway, that's a lot to keep up with. But if we keep our feet on the ground and we don't get distracted and we don't talk about things that are not germane, We can keep track of it. We can keep track of the situation with someone as well known. Not they don't know his name, but they do know there are people that own one of the biggest internet platforms in the world has gone missing because they want to ask him questions about something everybody knows about now, which is Jeffrey E. We can keep track of what the Durham report is putting out. We can keep track of all these things that are germane about a billionaire financing a change in the law specifically so this woman could sue Trump. Things like that. And we keep from getting distracted. Now, here's an example. I ran across this video today about Georgie Porgy. It's on Utizzle, and it's on Forbes magazine. And I hate these kind of videos. It's only like 3 or 4 minutes long, but they print out the words while they're playing music, and you got to read it, and then the screen changes, and there's another set of words. But anyway, I put my spectacles on and went ahead and watched it. And the thumbnail says Elon Musk attacks George Soros on Twitter. Oh my. 3 minutes and 48 seconds long. So I watch it, and there's some back and forth with Elon Musk and another Twitter user. And Elon Musk's George Soros is basically bad or against humanity. Don't you know right away? Everybody came to defend him, Soros, okay? And what were they using? Anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism. They were saying that Elon Musk was being anti-Semite. They were saying to people who keep talking badly about George Soros is that way. I heard that somebody reported he had a heart attack, and I heard about him denying it, and people go back and forth on that. But this ties directly into what I was talking about the other night, and I did get some people upset with me about Scott McKay. Well, you see it right here in this Forbes article. You'll see it in stuff we don't usually read, like the Washington Post, the Internet Newsweek, things like that the so-called normal people read. They don't know squat about what we know about Soros. They don't know. They don't know about the WEF yet. All they know is he's an old man, a billionaire, and he's a philanthropic person who helps all these charitable organizations. That's all they know. Then they see that people are being accused of attacking him because he's Jewish, which we know that is baloney. But now you see why it's so important to distance yourself from the types of things that were being said by McKay. And I will say, I wanted to say it the other night, but I had to think about it a little bit more. But I don't think this business of having him turn away from Doral and barred from the Trump property, I don't think it happened quite the way it was presented to us. I think there was a decision to get him distance from people like General Flynn and Kash Patel. I mean, he could have been at that Doral meeting when General Flynn got a phone call from Donald Trump saying, get ready to serve. And hey, I'll put up pictures of him. He had to go to some parking lots with some of his fans. And I'm not saying harsh things about him. I'm describing what happened. He's in this parking lot, meet with people. He's got leather chaps on. He's got a leather hat on backwards. He's got these kind of, he had these gloves that were fingerless at one point. You see people wearing sometimes. You don't see people going to formal dinners, with those guys. But anyway, he's got very noticeably a pistol on his hip, which is fine. You're right and all that. But to dress like a motorcycle tough, okay, I could say thug, all right, with the leather and the gun and all pumped up and wearing a muscle shirt and, with the quotes Alan Dershowitz was saying, which I will play, which are pretty gross. And I've heard him say that stuff before. You can't have that kind of look because right away, I mean, within 48 hours, you've got Soros being publicly defended by mainstream media from people who are talking anti-Semitic. Okay? And that's no coincidence, I think, that this action was taken. He was removed from the gathering just prior to this business with Elon Musk and Soros, because boy, would they have zeroed in on it. I watched Beaver Frey. He put out a short video, and he's from Canada, Rick. Beaver Frey put out a short video that about him arriving at Durham, and he met with people, and they did the video together. They walked around and was filming the layout and the people that were there, and they must have said half a dozen times, I don't see any anti-Semites around here. Do you? I was told there were going to be a lot of anti-Semites around. This was day before yesterday when they posted the video. And I thought, holy cow, Beaver Frey was hearing that there were going to be anti-Semites there. And none of us had ever heard this kind of talk before. Now, all of a sudden, yesterday, you get this conflict between Elon Musk calling out George Soros, and right away, they start saying it is Jew haters. So I think it was already all being prepared, all lined up to give the meeting in Doral, at the Doral in Daytona Beach. It was set up to put us all in a bad light as anti-Semitic people. And I think the decision was made not because Alan Dershowitz called just before. I think that decision was made way ahead because of the stuff that was being said. That's inexcusable. So, okay, I'm going to drop that. I won't keep going on about it. If the people that left me got mad, they're fans of Scott McKay, I'm sorry. I cannot be quiet about this because it's obvious to me that there was an operation in place to paint the people going to the Trump property as anti-Semites. And it was all set up to put George Soros in the paper as being persecuted by people who don't like Jews. And this stamp, and don't blame me, I'm not the one who was going out saying these things. So Give me a break, you know. You were survived for a reason. You like what I said past. We're never going to agree on everything in life. I certainly think if you're going to expect to interact with the family members of the president, you're going to expect to interact with a future cabinet member and general, high-ranking general of the U.S. military, that you don't show up looking like a thug and making a big show of carrying a pistol after you've talked about a certain religion. So, I mean, it's common sense, folks. So anyway, see what's going on. I think we got to clean up our affiliations, okay? Because I might as well come out and say it. I mean, so few people in the mainstream were talking about the things we talk about that we ended up in a whirlpool of alternate media where you get all kinds of stuff that's either not germane or notions and threads of thought that are planted to make us look bad. I actually listened to a panel, and there was a lady got into giants. I mean, they were talking about exploitation of little ones. And the one moderator was saying, you know, a couple of times about different things, saying we're getting a little off topic. We're talking about, you know, how kids are being taken advantage of. You know what word I can't use. And okay, they get back on, but then right away they drift over to the one guy says, well, we know that there's a race of people because the Bible says that there's the children of Adam and the children of the serpent. I don't know what Bible he's reading. Okay. Then his friend, who's a lady, was saying the giants mentioned in the Bible. I went to a certain area and I was looking how huge the mountains were, how open the plains were. I said to myself, you know, we're small. There had to be giants in the past, and well, there's structures being discovered where these giants could have been a mile high. A mile high. What did they eat? Like what? There's fruit being grown as big as the planet Jupiter or something. But anyway, you see my point, I hope, is that you can't have that kind of talk at a meeting with members of the Trump family and members of the future administration. And I'm not saying, hey, I can read the Bible too. I heard about the Nephilim. I read about the Nephilim, and I won't get into that in this broadcast, except to say, after the flood, all flesh was destroyed. It says in there, all flesh. And how we get this, all the sin was wiped out. How do we end up where we're at? Well, I explained Ham's sin. The best way for me to put it right now tonight is that the smoke of Satan got in the ark and hitched a ride along, and Ham did what he did and was banished by Noah. You can read that yourself. Go from there. But and yeah, there were giants. Yeah, the Bible says that. Men of renown. I know all that. But the flood wiped it all out. So anyway, but you can see why I was adamant about discussing. It's not him as a person. It's these stories and the hurtful way it's being put out there. Okay, and a lot of you may ascribe to some stories about aliens or things like that. That's all fine. I'm saying our discussion right now is for stuff normal people can understand. It's hard enough to get people to realize how much of their freedoms have been eroded by an administrative, bureaucratic state that is outside of our control and operating outside the Constitution. It's hard enough to get people to understand that simple fact that we created a Bolshevik monster, a communist Marxist system that has managed to short circuit and circumvent our Constitution. That is the thing to focus on. All the other stuff, who's to blame, whether it's all sprouted from one group of people that are married to lizards living in whatever. No. Because the people that are actually perpetrating these deeds against us, a lot of them think they're doing good. They're ignorant. They don't understand. They haven't been taught the spirit of 1776, and they're being manipulated and used. Some of them enjoy it because they profit, okay? Because they elevate themselves and their own sense of power. But they're not affiliated by bloodlines to anybody. People say, well, they're useful idiots. Well, I don't know. People that sit there and live with hundreds of thousands of dollars income and sit on their rear ends all day long, that's not too idiotic. Some of them are pretty daggone crafty on how to keep that kind of lifestyle and expand their power. That's what we've got to get people to understand, not all the other stuff that a lot of times is totally outrageous and not true. And there are some things that if they are true, it would not surprise me. But I'm focusing on things that have a direct impact on our society, our Constitution, and our daily life, and the future of this country, and the future that we're going to hand down to our children. Those are the things people need to be made aware of, that we're under a huge threat of losing our civilization and our way of life. So I'm sorry, I got on a rant. That's right, Rick. I was going to bring that up. And I think that video will be played. For people that are in the know, we've seen the video where George Soros, even though he was not very young, he was a young man, a teenager and a young man. He was a member of the NAZI party, and he said that when he was taking the property of the Jewish people and the untermenschen, it wasn't just Jews. They were the main focus of the propaganda vitriol, but also were the undermentioned, the ones who were beneath the Aryan race. They would take their property, and he said, oh, he enjoyed it. He enjoyed taking their property, and he counted it as one of the best times of his life. But now they're portraying him as a Holocaust survivor. I didn't get to mention that. And thank you, Rick, for pointing that out to me, because that is a matter of historical fact. That's words out of his own mouth. So they're trying to set us up to make us look like we're anti-Jewish and that we're attacking unfairly George Soros. They would use past affiliations or visits by someone who has said the rhetoric. I'm not saying Scott McKay is the NAZI. I defended him and said that was a little strong, but he has said words that would shock the average American. And he dresses in a manner that is, to me, unprofessional and unacceptable to be around the level of people we had at Durham. And they'll use it against us whenever they can. But the fact and the rebuttal to George Soros being a Holocaust survivor, he was a promoter of persecution of Untermenschen and Jewish people, stealing their property, enjoying the fact that he had the power to do that. And he said it was one of the best times of his life. So, let me just do the chats. Yeah. I see that, Georgia. I've never heard of that person that's bishop, but I'm sure it was quite interesting. And I can get more into the Khazarian mafia. I can talk about that, and I will talk to him about that too. And hopefully, I do hope that he reexamines his approach. And it's too convoluted a worldwide system that is basically couched in Marxism, okay, and communism. Communism didn't start with Karl Marx's manifesto. Okay, as actually the settlers in Jamestown, or Karl Marx was in the 1800s. I discussed how he wrote a letter to Abraham Lincoln, and but they tried. They say socialism now, but they was communism when the Jamestown settlers came in the early 1600s, and they went through a time they called the starving time. They all almost ended up being wiped out. So socialism, communism, Marxism, whatever, it's been around for a long time. And there's more than one group that is pushing for it, as long as if that type of government succeeds, they are the ones in the chair. They're the ones in the seats of power. That's why they push for it. And it's more than one group from Moldova, which is where I heard the Khazarian mafia has their headquarters. And you never heard of that group anywhere in any historical writings, period, until these C.I.A. Stories were being pumped out to get people like us to latch on to them so nobody would take us seriously. And not only that, but they would be able to turn around, point at us and say, there's somebody that hates the Jewish race. It's a counter psyop. It's easy to see. And I hope Scott McKay sees it and stops behaving that way. And I mean, much of what he says is wholesome values and good things. Yeah, it's all commendable, but don't fall for that narrative and don't repeat that narrative. And try to pick up the pieces and start over. Clean up your act. Just like I'm saying, we got to clean up our affiliations, or get the people who are off the rails to say, look, you may be right about these things, but now is not the time. We've got children having surgeries done that leaves a scar from one armpit to the other armpit. Okay, when they're 10, 11, 12 years old, 13, 14 years old, that they will never get their natural uh, uh, being back, their physical abilities. They will be permanently scarred. That's what we got to worry about right now. We'll get into all that other stuff later. So, gosh, I'm way behind the comments, folks. And I appreciate all the kind words that I got from my broadcast the other night. And if there are people out there listening that have never heard me talk before, or people that are tuned in and got mad and maybe come back, check on me, please go back and listen to my broadcast I did on Mother's Day as to why it is important not to fall into group hating. I don't hate any group, or I hate. It is evil to hate. I know that. I have great anger about people who don't recognize that they are either allowing or promoting the exploitation of young people, and for young people to permanently damage their lives before they have a chance to live their lives. Ruined it forever. And as a society, we have got to drop the hammer on that type of behavior, and we got to do it quick. That's our focus. And that's what's going to unite not just this country, but the entire world. Everybody wants what's best for their children. Everybody wants to protect their children, not go after some Khazarian mafia. So, there you go, Georgia. It says nothing about aliens in the Bible, so I have no interest in that nonsense. As I said, if there's aliens, that's up to God. He created it all. I talked a long time ago about a person who was making fun of the Bible and saying, if somebody can look at this big, vast universe and say there's no other life out in space, there's no alien life, they're crazy because it's an endless universe. I said, hey, what do you think angels come from? They don't fall out of trees. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, what do you? The Bible says there's life out there, out there. You can play that music, do 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 do, from Twilight or whatever that show is. You can't get anything more extraterrestrial than angels and God. They're in the firmament. They're up in the heavens. What do you want? So that's up to God. What's out there. But just like Georgia says, what's in the Bible is what we got to pay attention to. Dottie says 8-letter names. Durham Senior. Oh. Durham Junior. Oh. Donahue, Richard P. doing the indictments. That's good. Something to think about, Dottie. The cat says that is the craft of the witch and famous and its successors. Yeah, we don't want to be deceived and distracted, folks. I mean, we give them ammunition when we mingle with speakers who well-meaning they may be, but when they open the door up for us to be painted as a bunch of NAZIs or crazy people, talking about mile-high giants and lizard people in Antarctica. All that stuff is right now is out for conversation, not even to be talked about. We're talking about years of effort, years of risk, lives destroyed by this, just the lies that have been exposed in the Durham investigation. That is starting to come out. That's starting for people are starting to turn their heads and look at that actual harm done to our government and to our friends and neighbors. What are you going to do? Say, oh, take a look at that Khazarian mafia, and they're descendants of the snake people. When Eve went in the garden, oh, geez. Let's see. Time Duff said, my mom and I were just talking the other day of when we learned the Constitution in school. She grew up in the 40s on a field trip to the state capitol. The most important thing she remembers, all they did was sit and read the newspaper. Kim says, whatever's out there in the cosmos, I don't know. I have enough worries here on this. That's exactly right, Kim. That's exactly right. As Christ told us, take care of today. You've got enough to worry about for today. Tomorrow will take care of itself if you take care of today. A lot of energy and emotion, and fear. Fear sucks out your energy and your emotion. Be not afraid. Hey, Tennessee, how you doing? Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, we want to keep the chat safe. Please hit the thumbs up, like button for me. Help me out. Help an old man out. Uh-oh, Mary said the newest one going around is that talcum powder will be dropped from chemtrails, so pics taken of you will be interrupted. This is getting out of hand and an insult to our intelligence. That's right. So, the cat says a common ground way of doing business today fully supports with all the tools to enable the farce. So, I'm almost caught up. Yeah, CW did the same thing. Debbie, I said I didn't agree with her on stuff, but she also called out people who got involved in mysticism and numbers, but then again, she did go on to some dizzy stuff too, but she also had good points. But she never went after Jewish people or anything like that. I'll say that in her defense. She didn't do the same thing as calling out a religion. Bobcat said, too many people willing to do anything for a large profit of sacrificing our people's happiness around us for trinkets gets my blood raging. And me too. Me too. I mean, people. We don't have any manufacturing in this country, but You see the lines at Dollar Tree and the lines at Walmart. People buying stuff, every bit of it is stamped made in China, every daggone bit of it, for cheap junk that's end up broken or not even taken out of the bag half the time. I tell you get something from the 1940s, a blender or American-made products, Craftsman tools from the 60s, stuff like that. I mean, you're talking high-quality manufacturing made in the USA. We don't do it anymore. It's all throwaway plastic crap. That's right. And people focusing on how much melanin is in other people's skin. Christ never talked about any race. Never. Yeah, Kristen, she talked about her family having money. Yeah. You talk about V for Vendetta, Diane? Dottie said police surrounding Mr. Gaga's home. Whose home being surrounded? Whoa. Oh, yeah, Debbie. Thank you, honey. That's right, Vicky. They do charge a lot for American-made stuff. Um, that's another story altogether. The dollar, the value of the dollar is getting weaker and weaker. They have to charge more dollars because the dollar's worth less. It does. It's not the cost of an item or the resources, materials that go into an item being more. It's that the dollar is being worth less because of how much they're printing. That's what's causing this problem. Kim, I've got a fridge right now. I got some stuff out of it and in the freezer, and I shut the door and I said, "How long has this thing been sitting here?" 1985. How long's that been? 1985. And I love Lucy fridges. Tenants tore them up, but I had fridges from the 1950s in apartments. Ran great. Hi, Gloria. How are you? So anyway, um, all that off of George Soros and Elon Musk having a little spat. But it was tied into what I think they were planning on smearing stuff over General Flynn, Eric Trump, and all them and they were going to highlight that man. As a matter of fact, Rachel Maddow already highlighted him. So his name and his words, which he'll talk for 2 hours and most of it's fine. It's that 20 seconds where he goes off the rails. They take that quote and put it on MSNBC. Okay, and they use the NAZI word, they use the Holocaust, all that stuff, and then they get pictures of him with General Flynn and Eric Trump, and then we're screwed. So that's why I think this little operation to distance came into play. They were setting us up. And you can talk a brilliant conversation. All it takes is 20 seconds of vitriol and not being careful with your words, and you'll be put all over the nation as something you're not. But you're asking for it when you use that kind of language. Just like, I'll close out with this, the Biden having his speech at Howard University. Biden says, quote, white supremacy is the most dangerous terror threat during a speech at a historically black college. Howard University. This is at the same time this stuff is going on. Simultaneously, folks, we were getting ready to get set up at the rally, and Biden is priming the pump for racial hatred with his Howard University speech, both simultaneously. And then you see people white people being assaulted, women. I'll put up videos when I get that set up to go on Bumble. Just somebody walking up, a person of color walking up, just pow, punch right in the face. Because they're incited by that kind of talk from the so-called president of the United States. They're incited by what Rachel Maddow was putting out. But so anyway, it's like Barney Fife said, as far as that kind of talk, we got to nip it, Andy. And that's what happened with Scott McKay. Nip it. If he can fix his reputation and straighten it out, I hope so. All right, folks, I went way over, and I'm sorry. I know Nikki's got to get her rest. Hi, Donna. You came in right when I was telling everybody I was signing out. Oh, you got to go back and listen. That's okay. It's my usual babble. And like I said, why I feel it is important to avoid that kind of look, that look, okay, and why we don't want this type of division to seep into our society. Watch my broadcast I did on Mother's Day. It's called "I'd Walk a Million Miles" on the thumb. And you'll understand why I personally take umbrage with that kind of divisive talk. So even if it's only 20 seconds out of a great oration, a presentation full of facts and news, all it takes, screwing it up one time. So, all right, folks. I appreciate you spending your precious time with me, as always. Thank you very much. I've got a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee if anybody wants to help the channel out. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank Kristen for helping me out. And I want to thank Gary for helping me out. And everybody else. Oh, my gosh, did I just let myself off? Everybody else that's helped out with the channel, I greatly appreciate it. But my last broadcast, holy cow. Yesterday, Kristen came in and helped, and Gary during the broadcast helped. I hope I'm still on and haven't got knocked off. Am I still on? Okay, I'm still on. Good. But Tennessee, I thank you. A couple of broadcasts ago, you kicked in, and I didn't see the message. Tennessee and Lone Wolf, I want to thank you also, and everybody else that thanked me, helped me. I thank very much. And I'm going to put everybody up on the screen that's helped me out. So anyway. Again, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me, And I will be setting up something where we can jump back and forth and go on Bumble. Go on Bumble. So anyway, I'll let you know when I do that. And I'll put a link in the description. Until then, until next time, this is Mountain Man over and out.